Good evening, all the dignitaries on the stage and off it. I don't have a structured presentation, however, and I was listening to this presentation, the two presentations that were made just now with rapt attention. And what we are doing these days at National Skill Development Corporation is watching all the developments in this space very, very keenly. Recently, there was a budget that the government brought out, and one of the priorities that the government has chalked out for itself is the climate change and green energy related work that it is going to do. The other priority that the government has actually identified for itself is skills, and that therefore you would have heard a repeated mention of skill development across sectors. And now we have been entrusted with this responsibility of marrying the two. Skill development we are looking at in all sectors that we operate in, but of late our focus has been on green energy transitions and climate-related aspects. Since it is evolving, and of late there has been a lot of focus in form of nationally determined contribution. We're talking about 5 million tons of green hydrogen, and then you're talking about solar, 500 gigawatts of capacity that one is supposed to achieve by 2030, and about 30% of our mobility is supposed to be electric mobility, and similarly stuff like that. So the priorities of the government have been spelled out. Now this whole ecosystem around this has got to be built, and as the chair pointed out, skills and how do you prepare the right kind of manpower to enable all this is one of the key questions that we need to find answers to. Coming to National Skills Development Corporation's introduction, we came into being in 2009, and we were set up by Ministry of Finance then as a PPP with the primary agenda of catalyzing the private sector investment in the skill development. We started out with ambitious agenda of training close to 400 odd million people in variety of sectors. NSDC was set up as a separate institution primarily to take care of the short-term skilling requirement. Now, India already had an institution in the skill development and vocational development, vocational education. There was an institution called ITIs, and ITIs have existed even before the independence. But the expansion of ITIs hasn't been to the satisfaction of many quarters. Till date, we have close to about 15,000. In last 10, 12 years, we have actually made rapid progress in terms of setting up new ITIs. About 4,000 of them are in the public sector space, another close to 10,000, 11,000 odd in private sector. But the ITIs are running long-term TVET courses, 1 to 2 years. Whereas post-liberalization, one also started getting this requirement from the industry that not everybody is supposed to be skilled to those levels. You need minimally skilled people also, and then you actually pass them on to the industry, and then they learn a lot of stuff on the job as they go. And that is where an institution to promote short-term skilling, typically 200 to 300 hours kind of skilling was felt. There were some programs that were being done by various ministries. There was a program called, it's now called DDUGKY. It was called Ajivika then. which predates NSDC's setup. So we came into being in 2009. 2014, the new Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship came into being, and NSDC now works very closely with Ministry of Skill Development and Entrepreneurship. In last 12-13 years of our existence, we have trained close to 35-40 million people across sectors. Close to 1.35 crore, which is about 13-14 million, have been trained under the government-sponsored training programs, Pradhan Mantri Kaushal Vikas Yojana, of which we are going to see, very shortly see a new version, and that again is going to train close to 15 million people over the next 2 to 3 years. But alongside, we have also built a huge market-led ecosystem wherein either the student-paid training programs were launched, and also a lot of corporate-sponsored programs have also been done for last 10-12 years. So, and that has been a larger ecosystem as compared to the government-subsidized training numbers. What we have also done in order to capture, because all this skilling that we are doing has got to be demand-led, and there has to be a demand signaling, there has to be a strong evidence of demand existing. We also set up some sector skill councils, and we till date have created about 37. And the sector skill councils, typically in the area of green energy, you'd say automotive sector skill council is doing a lot of work in e-mobility. We also have a sector skill councils for green jobs. That too is doing some noticeable work in the area of training people for green energy transition. We also have a sector for hydrocarbons, which is looking at hydrogen and green hydrogen related training programs. They are doing, the kind of programs that they're doing is one, Surya Mitra program is about solar energy technicians. They typically take people from ITIs as the entry-level requirement and then train them on various aspects of solar plant installation, upkeep, maintenance, etc. That is the Green Job Sector Skill Council that is doing. In addition to training entry-level talent or manpower, they are also training a lot of middle management in the organizations so that they can manage this well. They are training a lot of finance and banking people also, because financing the green energy projects has been a challenge, because this space is least understood, especially by the NBFC and financial institutions, and there was a need to acquaint these people with how to appraise a project, say in a green energy sector, a solar project, or for the matter, a hydrogen project. So there have been a spurt of programs to train people from the financial institutions over the last few years. A lot of multilateral institutions like World Bank, USAID, etc. have joined, and with their technical expertise and in their collaboration, we have trained a lot of people. NSDC very recently has set up a center of excellence in the area of green energy transition and climate change, because we felt that there has to be a integrated response to this challenge of green energy transition. And we see this playing out across 3-4 sectors. E-mobility is one sector that one has to very clearly do something about and build maybe capacities to train a large number of people. We already have the evidence of demand coming in form of charging infrastructure, etc. And the organizations are reaching out to us saying if we can do something about it. So that was one trigger for setting up an institution or COE of this kind. We're also seeing there's a lot of requirement coming in the area of just transition, especially the 6 states where the coal mines are there and some 50-odd districts, and a lot of people need to be moved out of this and move to alternative livelihoods. And the total number actually somewhere is in the range of 20 million people. So these 20 million people's livelihood is going to be impacted should the coal mines shut down and we move from fossil fuel-based economy to a green economy. So that's a huge challenge that we are working with some of the states with. In terms of our own challenges, in very clearly coming out with a strategy for green economy related skill development is that we're finding it difficult to get the real numbers and also how these numbers ramp up. Institutions like IRENA say that close to 6 lakh jobs would be created by 2030, but in what sectors, in what geographies they would be needed. Unfortunately, unlike education, skill development is something which needs to find its immediate application. So you train a person for a short duration, but immediately after that, the person actually needs to find an opportunity to practice those skills. And they can come in form of an OJT or in form of an apprenticeship opportunity or a job. Government is focusing a lot on apprenticeship development, and the target for next 2-3 years is going to be 5 million. Right now we are doing about 500,000 every year, which needs to go up to 5 million every year. And there's a lot of resources, monies, etc. available, provided we can spell out the demand clearly so that we can create courses around it and also create apprenticeship opportunities. There's a, I don't want to go into details, but the National Apprenticeship Promotion Scheme says that you can employ this person up to 25% of the stipend will be borne by the government. And the apprenticeship rules have been made very easy for industry to comply with. The National Apprenticeship Act of 1961 used to talk about things like imprisonment, etc. for non-compliances, but now they have been made extremely industry-friendly, so much so that for the harshest penalty for non-compliance is in the new apprenticeship rules is 1,000 rupees. So, and there's a lot of facilitation and hand-holding available, both by the MSD and also the NSDC. And we actually welcome all the industries that actually want to enroll such people as apprentices with open arms, and all the facilitation, etc., that is needed is given. And that is where the industry also need to come forward. One, in terms of helping us clearly estimate as to what kind of manpower would be needed. If the requirement is of minimally skilled people who say can be trained for about 200-300 hours and then they can become employable, the apprenticeship program can be then dovetailed into this, and the industry can take them as apprentices. And should they feel like hiring this person at the end of the apprenticeship program is completely up to the industry. But you manage to get a very close look at the person, and then you can make the decision. And in so doing, you are actually contributing to the great national cause of building the skill of the person, because it's all work-based training that you are imparting. We have reached out to various research institutions that talk about estimating the skilled manpower requirement. But in absence of a very clear number, I think we have not been able to come out with very a lucid strategy in terms of developing the manpower. And that is where we expect a lot of support from the industry. And that is the reason why the COE has also been established, where we are bringing in all the sector skill councils which are doing some work in this area. So to engage with the industry better and try and assess the requirement better so that we can create courses if need be. There are a lot of programs that we have already developed that can possibly be made use of. A lot of, when we look at this space, we actually see a huge opportunity for also promoting entrepreneurship. For example, we have been talking to a few organizations who are working now with us to develop solar entrepreneurs, and we have come out with a couple of programs that we can offer to people. Very soon we are going out to the market to scout talent for this and provide them the skill training and also the kind of hand-holding that is required in order to set up solar plants on every single rooftop in the country. So that is one ambitious program that we have recently embarked upon. There are other services that we see there are opportunities to create entrepreneurship development programs around. And that too we would like to engage you on to discuss as to what we can jointly do together for the kind of economy that we are talking about, that by 2047 you are going to become a $32 trillion economy with 1 billion people available to participate in the workforce. Providing jobs to everybody may not actually be a very practical or practicable target, but you can always create opportunities that people can make use of and create an enabling environment in which people can make use of some of those schemes to become entrepreneurs and start employing people is what our very clear line of thought is. So with those lines, I would like to say thank you and thank you for being very patient listeners, and also an offer that we are prepared to work with you all because you know the industry very well. We know how to put together programs for skilling, and the two skills are actually complementary. So we can maybe sit down and put together some programs that will benefit the country and also benefit the industry in particular. Thank you very much.